Hi everyone. Thank you for joining me at the Fetch.ai community AMA. Um, and also, yeah, thanks for joining me on this Friday. Obviously, it's a very exciting time for us at Fetch. Lots of interesting, exciting things in the pipeline. And as always, really grateful to have receive your questions. Lots of interesting things are happening. Lots of interesting questions from you, the community. Thanks for joining me. I have to give my apologies to begin with for those of you who are looking to speak to Hermione today. Unfortunately, he's away on important business, so you'll have to make do with me today. But I'm sure he'll be around and he'll be available for an AMA in the very near future. So I'm sure he's very much looking forward to talking to you. And obviously, part of what he's doing is working in the background on really scaling Fetch from where we are today to being the kind of AI and multi-agent systems enabled technology that you're all part of and you all want to contribute towards. So without further ado, what I'll do is I'll start by going through. So thanks for everybody who posted a question. So I'll go through some of these in order, and obviously I'll keep an eye on the chat and hopefully respond to anything that anybody says in response to what I'm saying. Apologies if I miss anyone. Okay, so I'll start with the first question on the list, which is that are there any apps in the pipeline focusing specifically on the gig economy? So I guess this is a reference to the decentralized delivery network. So there's two answers to this question. So we already have a proof of concept. We a few days ago had the launch of the Mobix stake drop. Now Mobix, I think, is a super exciting technology. What it's doing is it's reducing the friction between users and providers of mobility solutions. And I think it's a topic that's really, really close to my own heart because, we all see our cities, they're clogged with lots of traffic. It creates a lot of pollution. It's slow and there's huge amounts of friction. And what they're all about is through the power of blockchain technology, through the power of multi-agent systems and the tools we've built, you can make that process a lot simpler. You can reduce the friction between the many different providers of the mobility solutions and the consumer. And I think that's very exciting. It's not specifically targeted at the gig economy, but it's definitely something that could contribute there. What I would say in terms of us Fetch strategically is that what you're going to see over the next 6 months to a year is that we are going to be transitioning from a company that builds interesting applications to kind of explain what the agent-based systems and blockchain technology is for, to something that really acts as a catalyst for other people building those things. So what I would say to Morgan, who asked the question, if you know anybody who's interested in this, a team of developers, the demonstrations are there. We're building the technology. We're really keen to encourage other people to come to Fetch and start building their own solutions with the technology we've built. So what you're going to see as part of that strategy is you're going to see a much bigger improvement in the developer docs. We're hiring a lot of people. We've hired some really brilliant people recently whose role is specifically around taking the really cool tools that we have and making them really accessible to everybody. And yeah, I think as you see in the crypto space with projects like Avalanche and Matic and Polygon and Solana, there's a lot of potential for core protocols, layer ones, to develop in this space. And I think what's really exciting about Fetch is that we have, a unique value proposition, which is partly around this concept of multi-agent systems, alongside the interchain sort of architecture that we benefited from choosing Cosmos as the ecosystem that we wanted to be part of. Okay, so hopefully I answered that question well. So another question that we had was, So Fetch partnered with Poland's Poznan Supercomputing and Networking Center in June. And what we were looking at there was the use of our collective learning system to analyze biomedical data sets across Europe. So it's a similar story actually with that there in that with CoLearn as it is with the wider Fetch network, which is that the goal really now is to essentially build a V1 of CoLearn. And what that means is that whether it's Poland's Poznan supercomputing network or our partners in the automotive industry, Festo in manufacturing, effectively there are a set of tools where they can use what we have and without really requiring much input from us, actually build really useful and exciting solutions. So part of that is ensuring that there's security and that things are very easy to use. And then what we want to do on our side is to kind of build the core technology so that we add extra capability. So one of the things that one of the things that's absolutely fantastic about blockchain is that you have this auditability, and you have the ability to have incentives, and you have the ability for multiple people to work together on a sort of common ground truth. And obviously that's super exciting for scientific collaboration. So alongside that one, we're working with particle physics community, we're working with defense, we're working with manufacturing, automotive, many different market sectors. And I think what we're also going to be looking to do is really encourage an ecosystem. So this is people who are specialists in those different areas who can build their own protocols using CoLearn as a foundation. And we as Fetch will make that foundation all the more exciting and all the more powerful so that you can apply them to all of those different use cases. And the way we'll be doing that is by making the protocol faster. We will also be integrating better cryptography. So we've got some really exciting cryptography coming out. So really looking forward to sharing those protocols with you. And obviously very important in an open network is the incentive design. So the plan is over the next 3 to 4 months to have a working V1 end-to-end system where whether it's the Poznan supercomputing network or whether it's Bosch or whether it's any of our partners, they can go away and use the open network to solve the problems that they care about. So I think I answered that one. So I'll move on to the next one. Okay, so the question is on the hospitality app. And work is done behind the scenes. Teasers incoming. So yes. So the team that's working on travel and mobility, they're making good progress. They've done some really beautiful and nice UIs, and I think they have a great understanding of the user journey that we want to see for the travel application. Again, this is kind of similar to the theme that I was talking about. What we're doing as Fetch is trying to generalize the back-end requirements, so the technological requirements in terms of the blockchain and in terms of the search and discovery and in terms of the peer-to-peer communication, so that the travel team can go away and build a really exciting and compelling product. But then the goal is what we can take the lessons that we ourselves learn from that, and then we can encourage other people to build similar solutions for different verticals. And mobility is one of them. It could be the gig economy. It could be, the sky's the limit. I know what I would do as a community. Obviously, if you know technical people who would be interested in building this kind of protocol, please put them in our direction, and we'll do what we can to also financially support those. So that will be another thing that maybe won't happen next week, but over the coming months, we will look to provide financial support for developers to actually build exciting use cases like this on Fetch. Okay, so here's another question about Tesla. So So yeah, I mean, we obviously have, as part of the Container-X partnership, we have contacts with many other different automotive manufacturers, including, BMW, Volkswagen, many others. I think one of the things you find is that when, like, an organization like Tesla is so incredibly valuable, they tend to do things very internally. They don't really need external partnerships. So I think Tesla is one that's, to be honest, less likely to happen than the others out there. But who knows? You never know. So I think what our objective is in terms of building an open ecosystem is that if through multi-agent systems and the power of AI, Tesla can't be the single controller of that across multiple automotive manufacturers. So if we can get industry traction and we can get a lot of excitement around, in terms of governments and in terms of making sure that our system is used to support those activities, then, at that point, I'm sure Tesla will start to take notice. So what we're very much in focused on is making a success of our protocol, and the assumption is that if we succeed, then those kind of partnerships will also come. So we already have obviously exciting partnerships. We're looking to build on that, work with other large organizations, and yeah, if Tesla come knocking, then we'll be very happy to talk to them. Okay, so what are your plans on the marketing part? Maybe interviews with a big YouTube accounts or Twitter accounts talking about what FET is and what your plans are as a team. So yeah, I think marketing is important. So it's very important to obviously communicate what we're doing, and I agree that is part of the picture. But I think if you look at the most successful protocols, what really drives demand for the token and drives people, brings interest to your ecosystem, is really when people find, here's a really great use case, here's a beautiful use case, I want to get involved, I want to buy tokens so that I can get done the things that I want to do. And that's really what we're focused on. So I think although marketing is important, I don't think it's the most important thing. And we're really focused on delivering utility to you guys. At the same time, we will also ramp up the marketing effort, and part of actually getting lots of people activity on the network is really about talking to influencers, but also once people come to your network, once they're interested, we need to get them hooked. So we need to very quickly get people to see the power of multi-agent systems and the power of AI. And that's what we're really trying to do on the marketing side. So I think once we've got a really compelling product, we will then, the next focus, which will be hopefully early Q1 in 2022, will then really make a big push on the marketing side as well. Okay, so here's another question. Okay, so the collaboration with IOTA had a clear purpose. Many may not know what this is about. Do you want to elaborate on this, and how is this developed PR today? So IOTA is an interesting protocol. What they are looking to do is increasingly act as a system that can support enterprise applications. And one of those obviously is IoT. It's there in the name. And one of the things they were looking to do is they have a very nice client library, which basically enables IoT devices to stream data to another server. So part of the idea behind that partnership was that what we could do with the IOTA streaming technology is that we could deploy that on mobile devices or edge devices of some description, and couple that with our collective learning framework to actually enable the training of big machine learning models that are not owned by a single party and are fully decentralized and fully auditable and solve all of those problems. So what I would say about that is that yes, that will definitely those components will definitely be part of the Fetch technology stack, and it will be something that's useful when we encourage other developers and other projects to build on our collective learning platform. That will be one very important building block that they can use as part of contributing to the Fetch ecosystem. And the other thing is that we're very keen to work with other projects, and that is also another trend that you'll see increasingly in the next year. So obviously, as part of the Cosmos interchain, one of the beautiful things about that is that um, one of the beautiful things where agents could be useful is that if you take any other ecosystem, and that might be Terra or it might be DeFi space, automation is very, very useful. And what you can, of course, do is use our multi-agent system or our collective learning framework to provide intelligence to those other protocols. So what I would say is that I think in IOTA's case, we're more interested in using their core components for building value in the Fetch ecosystem, but we're also very keen to work with other projects, and that's also something you will see more of in the coming months. Okay. Okay, so here's another question. Currently, the NFT space is spread across multiple digital galleries. There are accounts of artists not in the space, yet having their work copied and minted without permission. Are you aware of any theories being discussed with regards to how Fetch could be leveraged across multiple chain galleries to protect artists against this, possibly through the use of Colon? That is a great question. So thank you. Very interesting question. So it's something that we talked about ourselves as well, of course, which is and it's also something we were affected by. So when we did the Co-Learn art project, there was definitely examples of other scammers effectively minting the same token and trying to get financial reward for doing that. And it seems that's a very common problem. So, I mean, one of the things that we're looking into doing is basically cryptographic tools for sharing information selectively in the right way. So that's a way that an artist can kind of commit to releasing artwork without actually releasing the artwork. So that's one thing that we're looking to do. The other question, I think, more generally is, okay, so given a set of NFTs, can you check that somebody else hasn't minted the same one? I think that's actually a great application of Colon and a great application of AI. Actually, I think it's quite a difficult problem, but I think it's definitely something that somebody should do. And I think that's definitely the sort of use case that we want people to be able to build using Colon. So I think definitely it's a great use case. And if you, Morgan, or anybody you know wants to help us build that, then yeah, please get in touch. Okay, so discussion about hospitality app again. I think that's quite similar to the other one. So I think Hermione can give you more detail on how that's progressing. I think we're in discussions with a variety of hotel chains and payments providers. I think the core protocol is fleshed out. As I mentioned before, we as Fetch are hoping or intending to build a set of generic tools that enable the travel team and anybody else who wants to build a similar kind of application, delivery network, decentralized social network, to actually use our tools and quite quickly be able to bring a product to the market. So I think you'll hear more specifically on the travel app in the next couple of months. Okay. So what's going on with the Festo decentralized manufacturing marketplace project? So yeah, we're still working closely with Festo. I think one of the things you'll find is that, one of the things I think we realized is that there are features that are kind of similar and overlapping between manufacturing marketplace, data marketplaces, machine learning model marketplaces, agent framework marketplaces. And what our real goal, given that this topic crops up a lot in the kind of problems we're trying to solve, is basically build a generic platform where people can build marketplaces involving multi-agent systems, involving several key components, which is things like liquidity pools, the ability to build a decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO, and have that interact with other components of the ecosystem. So we have, what I will say is that very soon we're going to have a really exciting group of tools that you can use with examples coming from Festo and from others that show how you can combine these different Lego pieces together, and you can quite quickly and efficiently build a fully working marketplace. So what I would say is that watch this space, and you'll see more progress on that and other exciting applications in the near future. Okay, here's another one. So this is the merch question. So we'd love to help market Fetch on the streets when there'll be a range of Fetch branded merchandise, e.g. shirts, hoodies available for the Fetch army to proudly wear. Well, I would love actually some Fetch merch. So I'm the last person, unfortunately, to get Fetch merch these days. But yeah, we are working on it. I think obviously it's a bit of a coordination exercise to make sure everybody who wants merch gets that. But that will also be something that will I would imagine we will look at in the next couple of months. Okay. So recently I started tweeting about gaming, and is there any way gaming use case on the way, or should we keep an eye out? So one of the things the agent framework does really, really well is that it sort of asynchronously takes in information and it makes decisions. So I don't know if you guys have looked at these really exciting sort of reinforcement learning applications, and the way you can kind of train, say, a robot or something like a human being with a set of muscles to actually fulfill a task in an environment. So what the agent framework is really good for doing is building multi-agent systems. So that's, if you think of a situation where you have a swarm of robots and they all have to collectively fulfill a goal, how do you design them such that they work in the environment together to solve that problem? So obviously that's super exciting for gaming applications, because if you're playing Call of Duty or other kinds of multiplayer shooting games, one of the issues when you're facing sort of enemies is that potentially they don't communicate or they don't coordinate what they're doing. And that's definitely something that we could potentially do with the AEA framework. As I mentioned before, I think us as a protocol, we need to focus more on actually building the ecosystem and building the capabilities for other people to do that. But we will definitely be encouraging other people to build that. And obviously, what we're seeing now with the metaverse, with increasingly people being represented by a digital identity, it's super exciting that you could potentially have marketplaces for agent identity. So these are agents that kind of perform goals that you like, or that interact with the world in a way that is appealing. And obviously for gaming, the potential of that is enormous. And although us as Fetch are not directly involved in the metaverse, personally think it's super exciting, and would really love to sponsor projects working in that area. Okay. What is the marketing strategy that Fetch know by governance? So I'm not sure I totally understand that question. So I'll talk a little bit about governance as well. So one thing I recently tweeted was a bit of an issue that we have at the moment, which is that at present, around a third of our stake is held by as little as 2 validators, and that's a very unhealthy situation. So what I would say to all of you who care about Fetch and care about us being a successful protocol is, please make sure that your delegations are spread around. And ideally, we want to make sure that the first third of the network, so the biggest validators, if you sort the validators by their stake, is held by as large a number of individuals as possible. Now, that's also super important for us in the interchain, because the security of the network, the more different validators there are that control what happens in the network, the safer your tokens are from IBC. So one of the great things about interchain is that obviously has huge potential. It has a huge potential in terms of us onboarding people from Ethereum ecosystem and Cosmos ecosystem, providing new services, new markets for agents and collective learning. But what we really need is a secure network. So what I will do is I'll post some instructions for how you can all, I'll tweet actually. So I'll tweet to everybody on how you can help the network become more decentralized. And that is something that will really help us moving forward. The second thing that we're thinking about doing, this is a proposal, is that we could potentially introduce a minimum commission rate for the validators on the Fetch network. And what that would do is stop any validator offering, say, 0% commission. The reason we think that's useful is that it stops loss leaders, or it stops a single validator cornering all of the stake in the network, and that's something we may do. Now, the way that we typically do that in a decentralized network is by having a proposal and an on-chain stake-weighted vote. And I'm sure what we are planning on doing is having a vote or an indicative vote from all of our community members, so you can also have a say on the future development in that sense. Okay. So here's a question. Do you plan to offer applications for schools or universities? It seems that online education is a natural fit that requires payment, security, verification of identity, optimized course selections, career guidance, and degree certifications. Could be readily integrated into current curricula, making certain courses available globally. Yeah, personally, I think online education could potentially be one of the biggest and most important applications of the internet. So companies like Coursera have done absolutely incredible job actually of making really high level content accessible to everybody across the world. And I think that's an amazing achievement. In terms of what we do, I think as you say, I think we are providing tools for governance. We're providing tools for identity. We're providing, the multi-agent systems. But I think offering that kind of thing is definitely going to be a lot of work and going to be a complicated and difficult thing to do. So I think it's beyond the scope of what we can do as an ecosystem. But what we can certainly do is make it really easy for other people to build that. And as I say, it's something that I think is very important as an organization. It's the sort of thing we would want to encourage, and it's something that I hope we can financially support in the near future. Okay, so here's another question. So in my opinion, huge warehouses would benefit a lot from AI technologies. Are there any plans? Okay, oh, hang on, I've lost that one. Okay, I've missed that one. That seems to have disappeared. Maybe it's been voted up. Oh, okay, sorry. It's been somebody voted it, upvoted it. Are there any plans to adapt, expand to warehouse management and logistics? So yes. So we already have a POC use case with Festo to actually solve exactly that problem. And as I said, the plan is to make these individual components, which are like just individual Lego pieces, really generic and really straightforward to people to build, and basically connect them together in different ways to solve any sort of warehouse management or logistics problem. So the answer is yes, we want to do that in a big way, and we want to make it generally applicable to many other businesses or many other organizations in many other different areas. So yeah, so I think if we can make those tools generic enough, then hopefully they'll be widely adopted. So the roadmap states that originally it was planned to have the DeFi agent app working on mainnet by end of Q3. Since we're past that, does that mean that now first on the agenda for Q4, or is IBC integration going to be focused on first? So yes, that's a good question. So obviously so there's not much DeFi activity on Fetch chain at the moment. We're building systems like on-chain oracles and the components that are useful for that. I think obviously a dependency for us to doing multi-chain stuff is that we turn on IBC and turn on those bridges. So I think if we can get the security issues sorted out, so we can get better decentralization, more validators having stake delegated to them, then we can do that, and we can implement that relatively quickly. So on the technical side, we have implemented that. As I said, I think we're somewhat dependent on the system being secure and decentralized enough to actually launch it. I guess, hopefully that will be in Q4, but we'll have to see. I mean, making sure that the bridge is operational and that everybody's funds are safe is obviously our number one priority. Suggesting a topic of robots or robotics. Yeah, I mean, I mean, those are all super exciting things. So, love to do that. I think what I would love to see happen, this is something we could also sponsor, is any robotics lab that is looking at swarm intelligence or robot swarms. I think our AEA framework is quite well suited to solving the communication side of the robotics problem. So yeah, I think definitely there's parts of what we do which would be super useful in that domain, and yeah, we'll look to support people in that as well. Okay, so here's another question. Hermione tweeted, so it wasn't me, it's Hermione, tweeted that you were looking forward to meeting the team of Polkadot and also Gemini exchange. Is this an indication of the impact of Q4 implementation of the IBC, facilitating seamless, rapid deployment of agents across chains? And what are these plans? Great question. Really like it. So, so we can put it into two different boxes. So, I mean, obviously, Polkadot is a really big and interesting project in the multi-chain, and the Gemini, very professional, really crypto enthusiastic exchange. So both really exciting organizations for us to have conversations with, under any circumstances. I think obviously what we're looking to see happen is that as we launch the IBC, and once all of these blockchains start communicating and they start needing, very desperately needing the kind of things we can do, which is automation, collective intelligence, cross-chain applications, multi-agent systems, then obviously the value that we offer to the wider blockchain ecosystem grows. And yeah, I think those are the kind of projects and organizations that will be really excited and looking to partner with us in that area. And they are two organizations we've talked to a lot in the past. Are there any projects in the line to address the issues in supply chain? Well, I mean, I think this is one of the consequences of the pandemic, I guess, is that is that there's a lot of stress on supply chains. So the way, the demand for products and the type of products and the location where they're manufactured and the way of manufacturing things, it's created a lot of strain in the system. And I think that does present an opportunity in the sense that we know that it's very cumbersome and very slow, and the way that the documents are organized and time consuming is an issue. And I think it also, when you have these major problems, that's the point when organizations really look to make rapid technological change. On our side, what we're really doing, as I said, is building the generic tools and the generic software and the generic documentation that enable people to solve those problems. Generally. So the thing is if you build those things in a modular way, it means that we can solve a problem with Festo, but then people can take those different components and use them to solve a different part of the supply chain, maybe modify them, and then hopefully we can, in a bottom-up way, bootstrap really big improvements to the efficiency of supply chains. But I guess there are also some fundamental things about how you deal with redundancy and time delays and inability and fragility in different parts of the network. And those are obviously things that the supply chain professionals themselves will have to look to resolve. Okay, so is a new NFT auction planned in the near future? If so, in what way? So it's a good question. So I think so we may launch a project relatively soon that will focus specifically on co-learn in the application of art collaboration. So obviously we see a lot in the past and in history of artists collaborating with each other, and also I think what the idea of co-learn is that it could provide new and interesting ways actually for artists to interact with their collectors. So so we are planning on doing more work on the NFT auctions. What I'd say to the community is I may put a tweet out and maybe ask for some suggestions, but we're open to doing another one in a similar format to the one we did already. We could potentially do, I guess the question will be, what kind of art would you like? We could do pop art, or we could do I don't know, Jackson Pollock or modern art. You let us know and we'll see what we can do. Music, there have been lots of very interesting suggestions. So if we can find something that the community is really behind us doing, then we're happy to do another auction. But yeah, so yeah, suggestions, and we'll see what we do. How is the container works going? Are there any container X work going? Are there any timelines in place for an MVP? Would be great to hear how the participants are seeing value. So yeah, the container X work is ongoing. So what we're doing is continuing with the collective learning protocol and generalizing it and solving some of the outstanding problems that we have. What I would say is really exciting about the Container X collaboration in general is that what we're really seeing is that the big organizations are actually finally getting it. They're really understanding that tokenized ecosystem and decentralization can be a win for all of them. So it's really, really encouraging to see that sort of psychological change going on with them. And obviously what that means is that when we do these end-to-end demos, which are getting more and more complicated, more and more general, they're really starting to understand how it can benefit the bottom line for them. So I think we have an MVP of co-learn that we're demonstrating to them at the moment, and the plan is to build the full end-to-end system, including monetization of models and other elements of the co-learn ecosystem. Okay, thanks. Okay. Okay, so when will the next... Okay, so Mastercard is working with Algebra to change the industry. Is there any sort of collaboration between Fetch and Mastercard we may see in the future? So we're not talking directly with Mastercard at the moment. I mean, I think the question is you know, what do you want to achieve? So I think one of the downsides that you see with sort of centralized payment providers is they charge a lot of rent, say 3 or 4% per transaction, which is, you know, not desirable, and part of the solution that crypto is trying to solve, address. But having said that, obviously we just want... I mean, we're not ideological at Fetch. We just want to succeed in well, changing the world for the better. And if working with Mastercard along with Algebra is part of that, then we will definitely consider it. Okay. Okay, so we've got a few questions about native FET, so and on exchanges. So I mean, we were, to begin with, we're absolutely delighted that Binance supported native FET relatively recently. Obviously, we would strongly encourage everybody in the Fetch ecosystem to use that. You have almost free transactions, and the opportunity to earn really good staking rewards on mainnet and help secure the network. But ultimately the work that has to be done, and that has to be an internal decision from the exchanges. So we can encourage the different exchanges, we can support them technically, and we will support all of them. We will go out of our way to support all the exchanges in managing the native token. Coinbase are very professional, and I'm sure they will support it when it meets their internal standards of security, and once they agree that it's to do that, they will. So I guess the point is that we are working with all the exchanges to support the native token. We're strongly encouraging them to, but it is ultimately their decision. Specifically on Coinbase, I would be relatively optimistic that could happen quite soon, but as I said, the final decision is with them. Okay. When will the next several Fetchai AI applications that serve the public or industry be released? So we're looking at launch dates now. So okay, so we had the Mobix launch recently. We will have launches of other protocols on Fetch over the coming months. So we have interest from other parties who want to build applications with us. And the plan is we'll have a major V1 release of CoLearn in early 2022. So that's Q1 2022. So that'll be the next really big release, and that big release will be at least as big as Fetch is. So it's going to be really, really exciting when you see the full V1 CoLearn. And that's the thing that's essentially consuming a lot of our work. So you heard it here first. Q1 2022, you'll see decentralized AI in the future coming from Fetch. Okay. So here's a question. Staking FET in Binance is cool, but the APR is less than the APR directly on the mainnet. However, the gas fees that you need to pay through MetaMask are killing the investment. So what I would say is, yeah, so anybody who's staking FET on Binance, you can definitely earn better rewards on mainnet. So just remove the FET, just withdraw the FET from your Binance account. And the cost of doing that on the native network is minuscule. So it's going to less than millionths of a FET, and you can also stake with less than millionths of a FET. So if you want good APR, good security, good rewards, then I'd suggest withdrawing to mainnet and staking there. Okay. what new verticals have found their way to Fetch? Given the solutions in progress of Bosch and Festo, I'm sure that eyebrows have been raised. Is it fair to say Fetch's reach is becoming wider and wider? Yes, so absolutely. As I said before, I think the industry partnerships are getting more and more people interested in the technology, and obviously Bitcoin becoming more valuable puts crypto in the headlines all the time. So every week there's greater and more interest, and I think what's really cool about what we're trying to do is we're trying to do something unique and different. And I think lots of people, it kind of captures the imagination of people. So people in different verticals, like some of the ones we mentioned, like education or supply chain, can suddenly see that there's benefits for them in their vertical. I would say so. I mean, just to name a few, obviously people in the art world, people from gaming, people from social networking, decentralized social networking, are also becoming interested in what we're doing. So yeah, I think I agree, and I think you'll see more soon. Okay, so have you got any updates about AI and oracles? Yeah, absolutely. We have so in Q1 2022, we're also planning an upgrade of the Fetch network. And what we're going to have there is natively supported what's called a BLS signature scheme. Now that's obviously that's a very advanced. Well, it's not a very advanced, but it's an advanced cryptographic scheme. It has lots of benefits over what we currently have. And what that essentially enables people to do is to build oracles with thousands of providers potentially voting, and through the agent framework, they can very quickly agree on a value, and then they can post it to the chain with very little data. So we can build very, very interesting and complex collective intelligence protocols, and you will see that deployed on the mainnet in 2022. And hopefully, in the meantime, we will also have a version of it running on the test net for people to try out and play with. Okay, so will Fetch work with DEXs, Gravity DEX, Uniswap, to incorporate DeFi agents to automate liquidity management? So obviously the beauty of decentralized protocols is that we don't necessarily need to work directly with them to actually provide the services, but we're definitely open to working more closely with different protocols. So yeah, if anybody is building a DeFi protocol and they want to incorporate agents or automation, then obviously point us in our direction. I mean, it's also something that I think, as we increasingly build an ecosystem, it will be a tool or a component that other people can build, integrate into their dApps, and obviously provide something new and interesting for their ecosystem or their consumers. Oh, okay. Given that AEA's only talk with the wallet, can we expect a great secure wallet that acts as the one-stop shop for the FET token across all the networks it's compatible with, as well as a great interface that acts as the one-stop shop for education, chain analysis, etc.? Well, it's a great question. It's it's quite a big ask, I would say, but I think yeah. I mean, I think one of that's definitely something that the tools we've had in terms of the BLS multi-signatures that I just mentioned, and our agent framework, definitely having wallet integration and having the wallet be much smarter about what it does. So doing things like, checking that you're not interacting with an unverified contract and those sorts of things. Those are really, really interesting applications of agent-based technology. And yeah, I mean, we will do our best, I guess, is the answer. Okay. So I think we're getting quite close to the end of the time, or I think I've possibly exceeded it. So I think at this point I'll wrap up. My voice is slowly wearing out. But so really fantastic questions, and it's really great and encouraging to have all of this enthusiasm from all the people in the community. So I would say. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. Really pleased so many have tuned in, and yeah, we'll do this again soon. I'm looking forward to communicating more and sharing more with you in the near future.